What do you do when you're completely stuck in reactive mode and still expected to grow the business? You're short on time, every day brings another urgent fire, but deep down, you know that firefighting can't be your only strategy. You need space, just an hour to solve what's actually holding things back. Here's how I learned that working in a small organic baby food business in New Zealand. Welcome to Busting Roadblocks, the podcast where we break down the biggest roadblocks in business and help you clear a path to success. I'm Janet Charteris, your host and founder of JC Consultancy, where we help businesses remove barriers and unlock their full potential. Let me set the scene. We're in New Zealand, it's the early 2000s, and this is my first FMCG marketing role. It's for a small organic baby food company. The 2000s was a great time for organic food, so it was a fantastic business to take on. The creation of the business was a result of the son of the original owner taking over the business and deciding that although canned corned beef was incredibly profitable, the future potential of such a mature market meant the business needed something else to focus on. And rightly, given the equipment available, making organic baby food was a really good choice. We were up against a giant. Heinz Watties owned most of the category and beyond, really, as we all know. They feature in almost any subcategory you can think of. On top of that, we had a limited budget and a small team with lots of daily challenges. This should start sounding familiar to some small businesses out there. You're constantly reacting to stock issues, to promotional demands, retailer queries, even some consumer complaints. And one of my favorites, which I know I probably still shouldn't find amusing, but I just have to share, because you've got to bear in mind, this is the early 2000s in New Zealand, and although organic is going off, maybe our understanding of all of the food that's out there isn't as high as potentially whoever developed this product thought. I had a phone call escalated to me because the mother was semi-irate that there was black specks in her baby food. And I said, oh, look, that's appalling. Let me know which one it is. It was the pumpkin and wild rice. And I had to not laugh. And hopefully most of you know that wild rice is in fact black. So I can understand that when you saw the baby food, you would have thought, wow, they've put sand in my child's food, when in actual fact it was just the wild rice. So you can imagine the nature of the business. Not only am I dealing with production, sales team, retailers, all of the promotional mechanisms, the marketing that needed to be done, a really great PR partner, FYI, but sometimes consumer complaints. So firefighting is probably an understatement, and particularly when I'd come from a very structured environment, which was a New Zealand lottery, so a state-owned enterprise that had structure out the wazoo. So much energy was spent responding, chasing, fixing, no time for forward planning. I think there's a productivity trap. So when you feel like you're doing a lot of stuff and you're ticking a lot of things off a list, you can feel really productive, but really your progress is patchy at best. And in this situation, growth had really stalled. Fortunately, I got a chance to go on a store visit with our Lower North Island sales rep. And as part of that, we had a look at all of the stores, how our product was on shelf, what the brand looked like, and what were the key problems we could identify. We sat down over a coffee, probably an hour max, and said, you know what we need? More distribution. We need some brand blocking. We need some presence in store, because if you can't find us, how are you going to buy us? And in that hour, we came up with a plan. We were going to drive distribution in the Lower North Island foodstuff stores, and we were going to over-merchandise, so spend more than we should on merchandising, and have a really strong promotional plan to support putting these products on store. The reason we chose foodstuffs Lower North Island is twofold. Number one, in foodstuffs, and I believe they still have this, the store owner has an opportunity to have a variety outside of core ranging. So they have a number of SKUs that they're allowed to choose to put on their shelf. And number two, the Lower North Island included Wellington. in Wellington had at that time anyway, a more affluent and probably foodie culture. So organic baby food was right on trend for them. I went back to the business. I sold them the idea. I said, look, we're not going to spend all of this money on these magazine ads that we've done every other year, and we're going to do a limited number of food shows this year and get the baby food into people's mouths. But what we're going to do is we're really going to focus on this area with the thought, if we can get this right, we now have a story to sell. So we've partnered with a sales rep in the Lower North Island. We had a focus effort of increasing promotional support and merchandising, getting that distribution up. So we focused on one lever, one initiative. To move the needle, we chose to do one thing. So I'll give you a bit of clarity. When you talk about FMCG, we talk about, and I'm sure this works for other products, I'm positive this works for other products. You're talking about getting more people to buy more product more often for more value. Now, they're great levers, right? And there's different ways to activate each of the levers. What's interesting about that is you can't activate all four. Everyone wants to activate all four, but usually if you pull one, it affects the others. So for example, to get more value out of a product, you might put the price up, and as a result of that, less people will buy it because you've reached a price point that is too much for them. So that's just an example. So we're trying to get more people to buy our product, and we're doing that through a distribution lever. So we're trying to get more product on shelf so that you can find us. It was a breakthrough, to be honest. So choosing to fix one roadblock was our breakthrough. We absolutely had the data that supported if you put more organic baby food from us on your shelf, your price per basket will go up. We used that to sell it into the Upper North Island foodstuffs, South Island foodstuffs, and what was at that time called Progressive. So back then, this is how long ago it was, there was Woolworths and Countdown owned by Progressive New Zealand, which I believe was owned by Woolworths Australia. We also used that data to take it to Australia, and we increased our ranging in both Coles and Woolworths, growing the brand by over 200%. We became the #1 organic baby food brand in New Zealand and Australia. So what's the key takeaway? The growth didn't come from a big strategy session or some major budget boost. It came from focusing on doing one thing and doing it really well. It came from carving out just enough time to talk to the right person and come up with a nimble plan that was focused and executionable. And broadly, when you're stuck firefighting, even 1 hour of clear focus can change the game. Hope that was helpful. If you've found this podcast valuable, make sure to subscribe and share it with your network. And if you have a business challenge you'd like me to cover, reach out on LinkedIn or at jcconsultancy.co. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What roadblocks are you facing right now?